Japan is a country located in East Asia, specifically an island in the Pacific Ocean. The capital is Tokyo, a megacity known for its shopping and pop culture. It is the home of sushi, anime, and more. Throughout history, Japan has had a key role in many wars and devastations. Events like World War I and World War II, as well as natural disasters, all played a massive role in Japan's population and how it is today. Demographic trends. Firstly, the population. This graph shows the population of Japan from the first proven and accurate measurement. The population had been on a steady increase after the tragedy of the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki and the surrender of Japan, but as of late, the trend has leveled off. At about 1985, the slope starts to even out. Fertility rates. The peak of fertility rates in Japanese history was in the midst of World War I. From this time all the way up to the end of World War II, the fertility rates had been extremely unstable. The post-war periods experienced a severe drop in fertility, leading to a now minuscule number of 1.46 babies per woman. Child mortality. From 1800 all the way up to World War I, 1918, the child mortality had been stable at 320 deaths per 1,000 people. It was only after that it started to become unstable. Currently, the mortality rate for children under 5 years old is extremely low due to the great healthcare in Japan and the smaller fertility rate. The crude death rate of Japan is very unique, as it took a plunge after World War II. This was because many people had died in the war, leaving mostly elders, women, and some children. The death rate went back up quickly as these elders had died off. Life expectancy. From 1800 to 1900, the life expectancy in Japan had remained under 40 years until World War I. There had been a spike of influenza, or the Spanish flu, that made the first significant drop. Barely 20 years later had been the most devastating drop in life expectancy due to the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. There was slight instability as the life expectancy rates shot back up again, and they are still rising, only starting to plateau after the age of 80. Now Japan has one of the highest life expectancies in the world. Population distribution. As of 2005, the population density of Japan is 336 people per square kilometer. Whilst this is an average, most of the population is located in cities. Studies in 2010 prove that more than 90% of the Japanese population live in urban areas. This is mostly due to the inhabitable land of Japan, as more than 75% of it is covered in either treacherous mountains or forests. Population pyramids. 1975. The spike of adults aged 20 to 40 is due to the spike in fertility rates in the post-World War II period. The population ratios in Japan were extremely unstable during this period, but it was still more similar to other countries than it is now. The lack of elders was due to the healthcare not being as developed. 2017. The biggest age groups in Japan are people aged 45 to 70. The smallest groups are the youth groups. This is terrible for the dependency ratio, as soon there will not be enough people joining the workforce to provide for many elders. 2050. This projection suggests that as time progresses, the aging population will die off and it will even off, and the youth will consistently get smaller and smaller. These changes could make the economy and the population density in Japan slightly better, but only if the fertility rates get higher. With change, there could be more people to join the workforce to support the aging population, and the country will generally be more well-rounded. Migration. In 1975, about 663,000 Japanese people had been living outside of Japan, with 75,000 of them invested in a permanent residency in another country. In 1990, however, more than 200,000 people had went abroad for study, work, or research. Unlike the emigration rates, the foreign immigration rates of Japan have been on a steady increase since post-war periods, since Japan has made efforts to attract foreigners to the Japanese workforce, as Japan is facing a shrinking workforce and aging population. The population plan. Considering all of the past research, predictions, and current state of Japan, there are not many options that we can take that will lead to the most beneficial result. Essentially, Japan needs to bring up the birth rate and keep it consistent. We need to balance the dependency ratio. This can be done by investing in creating more opportunities for work, especially for older people, to add more people to the workforce and fix the problem of an off-balance dependency ratio. Increasing the fertility rate. Put out governmental ads that encourage having more than one child, and implement education programs that are easily accessible and at all price ranges, so all parents can give their kids an education. Thirdly, expanding cities and making them better. Building up and higher buildings will save space and will make it so more people can live in one area without it being crowded. Expanding cities and adding more hospitals, schools, and other things that are needed in daily life will also do the same thing.